Real quick intro. In this video we're going to be comparing three different wide angle lenses, the Sigma 18-50mm 2.8, the Sigma 16mm f1.4 and the Yongnuo 11mm 1.8. I'm going to be using them all with the A6700 to see how well they all work as vlogging lenses and also to see how well the in-body stabilisation works in this camera. Little side note, I've got lots of comparison videos like this all on my channel. If these are your kind of thing, do think about liking and subscribing, it would be much appreciated. Let's jump straight in. So let's kick things off with the Sigma 18-50mm 2.8 lens at the widest angle, obviously at 18mm. And this is the lens with the stabilisation turned off. With the magic of editing, we're going to switch over to standard stabilisation, which hopefully you should see a little jump in performance here. This is the same kind of stabilisation you're going to get in the A6600, the A6500. But we've got one more level to go yet, so let's switch over to active stabilisation, which you'll notice is probably going to crop into the image a little bit, but this is going to give us the most stable footage that we can get. This is the highest level basically. So we'll get a few more seconds of this before we switch over to the Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens, which is the widest aperture of all the three lenses that we're looking at. So you're obviously going to see a little bit more background separation. Again, we're starting off with the stabilisation turned off, but we're going to flick that over to standard stabilisation, which is going to look a little bit like this. Again, like I said, it's a little bit of a jump up in stabilisation performance. We'll just get a few more seconds of this before we switch it up again to active stabilisation, which again is going to, push in a little bit on the image, but it's hopefully going to give us more stable footage. So let's just have a few more seconds of this before we switch over again to the widest lens, which is the Yongnuo 11mm f1.8 lens. As you can see, clearly a much wider field of view. Again, starting with the stabilisation turned off, but we're going to switch that over now to standard stabilisation, which is going to look a little bit like this. Again, a little bit of a jump in performance, not the best, but we'll give this a few seconds before we switch over finally to active stabilisation, which again is going to be the best performing stabilisation that we can get out of this camera. This is what it looks like. We'll get a few more seconds. We'll start comparing all of these at the end of the video. I'm going to do them all side by side. So let's go and take a look at those now. Starting with some side by sides of the stabilisation modes. Firstly, the Sigma 18-50mm. Followed by the Sigma 16mm. And finally the Yongnuo 11mm. Now we're going to look at each lens side by side. First with the stabilisation turned off. This is going to come in handy to see if you're using a camera that doesn't have any inbuilt stabilisation. Followed by the standard stabilisation in the A6700. And finally, the active stabilisation. Okay, so what are my thoughts after reviewing all that footage? And by the way, this is like completely impartial because I don't vlog, I hate vlogging. So, it's only the fact that I've got these three lenses and I thought it'd make for a good comparison. So I'm not trying to push any particular lens on any of you. I just purely wanted to see how they all performed. Looking at the stabilisation, it ain't great, is it, to be honest? The active stabilisation is obviously clearly, the best. I think it gives kind of passable results. It's in no way like sort of gimbal-like footage, but it definitely helps out a lot. Oh, and it's also worth noting, obviously, that all three of these lenses don't have any inbuilt stabilisation themselves. In fact, I'm not even sure if there are any wide-angle lenses that have got inbuilt stabilisation. By all means, if you know of any, please do let us all know down in the comments. That would be super handy. But yeah, going through lens by lens, I guess the 11mm, which is, the lens from Yongnuo, I thought I'd throw that one in there because I'd just been sent it recently for another video. I've done a video on specifically on that lens, which you can check out up here somewhere. But I thought I'd use that because a lot of people might be looking at the Sony 11mm lens as well, which is about a good, I think it's like $200, $250 more than the Yongnuo. It's still autofocus, it's still f1.8. So if budget's a thing, then definitely the Yongnuo is worth checking out over the Sony. It's still going to work pretty well in low light. You know, if you want to, obviously, it's all going to come down to your specific requirements, I suppose. But if you're going to want to show a lot of the scenery behind you, then obviously the widest angle lens is going to be the best for you. I thought I'd also throw in the Sigma 18 to 50mm zoom lens, just because, I mean, you know, if you're looking to purchase maybe your first lens, I mean, I know it's possibly a little bit too zoomed in at the 18mm, you know, it could do with being a little bit wider, but you are then getting sort of a bit more bang for your buck in the fact that you're getting a zoom lens. You've got something that you can use in a lot of other scenarios as well. Admittedly, it's only f2.8, so it's gonna, not to say, you know, you can't do low light stuff, but it's not going to be as good as the other two lenses. It's still a sharp lens. What does it cost? Sorry, because I can't remember. It costs $520 at the time of making this video, compared to $420 for the Sigma 16mm and $300 for the Yongnuo. So again, you know, you're getting kind of almost multiple lenses within that lens, so it's a pretty good deal. Moving back to the Sigma 16mm, you know, I think it probably looks the best. It's probably the best lens out of the three that we're looking at here. And that f1.4, obviously it's always going to give, you know, a bit more separation. It's going to look a little bit better in my opinion, but it's obviously going to lack a bit of versatility against that zoom lens. The Sigma is also the heaviest of the three lenses at 405 grams compared to the Sigma 18 to 50, which is 290 grams, and finally the Yongnuo is 260 grams. So that's just something to bear in mind as well. You know, if you're planning on vlogging all day, you're going to be holding this out at, you know, at arm's length, that Sigma could start to feel a little bit heavier as well. And thinking about it, you know, the Yongnuo 11mm lens, as good as it is for vlogging, it might not be that great in a lot of other scenarios. You might find that it's a little bit too wide for shooting other stuff. So yeah, unfortunately, there's no real sort of clear-cut winner. You know, as with all camera gear, you're always going to be making a compromise of some sort or another. But yeah, for me personally, just to conclude, you know, I think that Sigma 16mm probably looks the best, which I kind of thought it would from the outset, to be honest. And I think it might be probably a little bit more versatile than the 11mm lens. Just for, you know, if you want to go and sort of shoot other stuff with it, you know, otherwise you're going to be stuck with an ultra wide all the time, which you might not want. But it's of course down to you. You know, hopefully this test has helped you make a decision if, you know, you're looking at lenses like this for vlogging. And yeah, if it was useful, please do like and subscribe. That would be, like I say, immensely helpful. And I will see you again in the next one. Cheers.